we thought like, hey, we are creatives in our respective fields and in music, and we're just creative in general, I think. And we thought we were gonna talk about that, about the creative process, since we started this adventure a couple of years ago. We went into music, and I think hip hop was an introduction to actually the creation of music for us. I used to like try to learn to play the guitar for some time. I never was consistent with it. I think in terms of creative, um, yeah, attempts, I think hip hop has been my most consistent one.
Mm.
And we're gonna talk about that, right? About shit that we experience, in whatever. So if you're feeling creative, if you want to try out poetry, if you want to try out painting, if you want to try out music like us, there's gonna be some obstacles that you're gonna encounter on the way. So we want to kind of talk about like which obstacles we have encountered and what we have done to overcome them, or which obstacles we have no fucking idea how to overcome, which is
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
So we can start with that. Like, what about if you tell the people a little bit, what is your biggest obstacle right now as an artist?
My biggest obstacle right now as an artist, um, I think for me to get a final result faster
Mm.
and more efficient. I think I'm not there yet, right? So I can, yeah, I have a dope rhyme scheme. I have a song in my mind. When I um, go and record it and lay it down, maybe I don't know how to get it to sound a certain way. That's more technical knowledge, I think. But also, yeah, just getting good shit out faster. I think is my one of my challenges right now. What about
Uh,
you?
yeah, for me, it would be actually starting to work on things. I feel like I want to do so many things that I never have this period where I'm saying, okay, I'm focusing only on music. It's like I work on music one day, and then the next day my life seems different. I'm doing something else, and then it takes time to get back to music, right? It's like one among many things that I want to do, and that also affects what you call doing things efficiently or getting things out consistently. Um, yeah,
Okay.
but I'm not sure if I see it as a problem right now because I think it has a lot to do with what you want to achieve within a certain time frame. Like for you, what would be the answer to that question?
What I want to achieve?
Mm,
Well,
let's say within the next 6 months.
oh well, within the next 6 months to get the project that I'm working on out. I'd say that's the. Hopefully, it doesn't take me 6 months. I do wanna have it done to start sharing it with you guys as soon as possible. But I think that's the goal that I've set my eyes to, man, because that it also encompasses a lot of what I just said, right, with the first questions. um that it's I didn't realize that it was an obstacle until I started working on the project, that I was like, okay, fuck, I want this to be good, or at least for me to be impressed with it.
Yeah,
At least, I think it's a slippery slope to be this much self-critical
okay,
sometimes,
okay,
right? So it's like
yeah,
to the point where it's like borderline perfectionist with so much silly shit. Sometimes you show people the song that like, I'm not happy with it, and they vibe so much with it, but only you notice those little mistakes, and
yeah.
you're like, fuck, I could have delivered this better. That type of shit. Like finding a balance.
That's true, man. I feel like what you just said is exactly for me what happened with the foundation, right? When we released that first song, you probably remember I was always saying like, yeah, it's not my favorite. Yeah, it could be better. I don't like this. I don't like that. But then we release it, and people are like, yo, this is so dope. This is so good. You know, I was interviewing people for my thesis, and I was getting some compliments from people that heard the song. I was like, I did not see this coming at all, you know? To me,
Yeah.
it's like, this is a good enough release. And even changes my perspective about the song, right? Like now I listen to it and I'm like, yeah, this is the shit, you know? So I don't know, man. It's true, but sometimes I do feel like it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like it's worth it being so perfectionist because I don't know. You as an artist, you want to stand out, right? Like the market is so saturated. There's like fucking hundreds. I may be exaggerating, but hundreds, maybe thousands and thousands of rappers out there. And how do you stand out from them? You know,
Yeah.
and I think there's one advantage when you talk to any hip hop fan. They're gonna tell you a lot of the shit out there sounds the same. So to me, that seems one clear advantage. Okay, then sound different.
Yeah.
And then how do you sound different? Oh, okay, then be picky with those little details. Be this, be that. But that's inexperienced me who has never released an actual project talking. I'll talk again when I actually have something out there.
No, but I think that's a very important point because I have heard it in a couple of interviews as well, right? So how, for example, at the beginning, Kendrick Lamar sounded a lot like Lil Wayne. Why? Because Lil Wayne was fucking charting during when he was coming up, right? So what he used to listen to in his environment influenced the sound or his flows or the way that he was creating, but finding that sound that makes you unique,
Yeah.
I think it should be like one of the first things that you attempt to do, because that brings it also back to maybe being original. You're gonna sound like you.
Yeah.
Like you said, there are like thousands, maybe millions of rappers. It's
Probably millions.
sounding different is the definitely the advantage.
For any artist as well, right? Like not only as a rapper, I can imagine that for like imagine people that try to compose like instruments, music. That must be fucking difficult. How do you come up with a I don't know, a chord progression that is not out there or some melody that is not out there? Don't quote me on my usage of music terms. I suck at it. But whatever you call the noise that you make with the fucking guitar, right? Like, how do you come out with something that you say, hey, this is me? I feel like music is always, and this is the same like with science, which is really cool. At school, they tell you scientists are building upon the shoulders of giants, which means you're not inventing the wheel from scratch. You're taking all this knowledge that people have established, and then you're adapting it and adding your little brick to it, right? And I feel like it's the same with music. You're not reinventing music every time you do something. You're always using something that is from someone else, especially hip hop, using samples, using this, using that, and then adding that little twist, that little thing that is you, but that's like 1% of the creativity that you're putting out there, right? Like, and that 1% it represents a lot of your original creativity, but the total artwork, it's always based on things that exist. Like, how can you define originality?
Yeah, that's what I was exactly thinking. That it's like then that means that originality doesn't exist, right? When you were talking about that, I remember this quote from Picasso about what great artists do. So the quote is the following: "Good artists copy, great artists steal."
There you
So
go.
in a way, you are, if you're aware of like the influences that are in the field, and again, like you said, the giants that have already paved the way,
Yeah.
right? You have that as your foundation, as your basis for you to add that little, in a way you steal, but you make it's what you make of it.
Yeah, and I mean there is no other way around it, dude. I remember once I shared a poem with someone, and they're like, "Wow, that you came up with that?" And I'm like, I mean, I can say, yeah, but fuck, the words, I didn't invent them. You know? The rhyming schemes, I didn't invent that. I'm sure somebody has used a similar rhyming scheme. Best I can tell you is the emotion is mine.
Yeah.
That expression that I'm trying to capture is mine, but I'm sure that if you listen to every fucking rap song around the world, you're gonna find at least 3, 4 people that said the exact same sentence in the exact same way. Like, how can you say I made that up? It's fucking difficult.
Going back to what you just said about it's your emotion, right? So how do you go about putting emotion into your tracks or into what you create? I notice you have also like been sharing a lot of not songs but like thoughts, right? Like shit that comes to your mind and your mind just lingers. But I mean, it would be super lame if you did not express it with emotion.
That's true.
Right, so you are putting emotion in the one about education that you posted a couple of days ago. You were kind of pissed, like something must have triggered you, right?
Yeah.
Same goes when you're about to record a song.
That's
how do you, well, you already mentioned that you thought it was important, but how do you go about putting yourself in a mindset of to convey emotion?
I think that the most important thing for me is to not think about it. Yeah, because when I think about it, it comes out robotic. It's weird. Like, I think it's gonna sound very cliche. I just go with the flow, you know. And I've told you this before. For example, when we're rapping on the mic, it sounds always different than if I'm just rapping at home. Because when I'm rapping at home, I'm not performing. I'm just going with the flow, and it's like on the spot. Yeah, it's like a piano player playing a melody on the spot. They're not thinking about it, they're just going with what feels right. And at that moment, conveying the emotion for me is what feels right. It's the same with the video about education. I don't think I meant to feel angry. I don't think I'm particularly angry or mad at anyone. But when I thought about teachers making someone feel stupid or less smart, I remember in elementary school, teachers used to classify students, you know. And I mean, I wasn't a bad student in elementary school, so it's difficult for me to say that it happened to me. But I know that I used to get pissed sometimes because you could hear a teacher tell another child that is struggling, like, you're gonna go to this school that is a low level school, you're not like these other children that are good. And then now that I have knowledge about how a teacher's ability to explain things can impact somebody's ability to understand, you making the child feel stupid when it's maybe your own fault for not being a good teacher, that shit makes me angry, man. And then that whole thought came to me in a second, and that's why when I expressed it, I'm like, maybe the teacher is boring as fuck, you know. And I'm like, because I'm just thinking of that situation that I find it's unfair, dude. Like,
just to give a little bit of context, is that on Aruba, so if you're in elementary school after the 6th grade, you have 3 options, right? So you either go to EPB, MAVO, or HAVO.
HAVO, yeah.
Right? So you have those 3. And
Dutch system.
Exactly. So there's like through those 3 levels, and a lot of the time it's just like people get sent to either, depending on how they perform on this one test.
Yeah, and then the thing is, maybe I shouldn't have said lower level. The point is that you have the APB, where they are more slower, I think, because I didn't go there. But what I understand is the teaching pace is slower. And as you increase the level, the teaching pace is faster. And also it gets more complicated with the mathematics and the theory and the abstract level of what you learn. But in Aruba, there's a lot of stigma. So if you're in the EPB, where the teaching pace is slower, people kind of act as if you're stupid a little bit, you know? And then teachers communicate that. I don't know if they still do it. I'm talking about 15 years ago. right? But teachers kind of communicate that to the students as well.
Yeah, and I think it's because I think the whole education system is just based on this, like, one type
Classifying.
of structure, right? So you define intelligence with this one metric, and I know a lot of people that went to Epe Beta nowadays are very successful entrepreneurs.
There you go.
So they're doing fine, you know. They're just like find their way. They're just like their intelligence was more in that area, you know. But if the system does not have a support for people to find these
Yeah.
areas of interest and explore them and support them in exploring them, that's I think where the flaws are. You
Yeah.
know, for a lot of people, it's sport.
There you
Fuck, they're
go.
amazing athletes,
Yeah.
right? For other people, is like what I just told you, business. Other people are just like so service driven and nice that they end up doing something in hospitality or something, you know.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. Like, how can you describe what? It's the same with animals, for example. Trippy thought, but how do we say animals are not intelligent or animals are not conscious when the reality of an animal is different than your reality as a human? What they need to survive is different than what you need to survive. What they need to belong in a social group and to cope with their environment is different than what you need as a human. So, how can we say the animal is not intelligent? Maybe the animal is intelligent in a way that is more beneficial for its survival, for its environment, you know? And we are intelligent in a different way. And like Albert Einstein, I don't know if this is a legit quote, but there's this, I've seen it on the internet, that if you,
Must be real, bro.
yeah, if you measure a fish, if you measure the intelligence of a fish by its ability to climb a tree, the fish will live believing that it's stupid. You know, it's the same, dude.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
So, and then the same with humans. You know, like some people are just interested, and that was the point of the post I made on Instagram. That the intelligence has a lot to do with interest. I believe that when people are interested in something, they just conceptualize the shit out of that, and they become really smart in processing information and using it creatively to create, you know, new shit. And that's intelligence to me, you know. That shit, I mean, there are other definitions as well, but that to me is also a definition. Sometimes you find people distinguishing between, oh, you're so intelligent, and oh, you're so creative. What you think creativity is? Not intelligence? What do you use to be creative? Your fucking brain. You know?
Well, well, yeah, your brain actually. Yeah, I was gonna say everything. No, but there's emotion. Yeah, but all that stems from
All that shit is in the brain.
Yeah, pretty much. Indeed, man. I like what you said about the interest because indeed, so in the last couple of years, where during times I've gotten like very interested in certain topics, I just grasped them with like more ease.
Mm-hmm.
Or when I came to the Netherlands, for example, there was like a couple of months where I was like so deep into quantum physics and all that shit, and it's so complicated. I don't get the formulas, I don't get the mathematics behind it, but the concepts, you know, they're as soon as you get the essence of it, you know, it's just like I'm not gonna be a fucking quantum physicist, but I know a little bit about it. You know, we can talk about that shit.
Yeah, dude.
And I was just, sorry, it was just because I was interested. So interest just plays a huge role. Same with the online courses that I have done, it's because I've been interested in them in that time. You know, following through.
Yeah.
You know, but I think it's also curiosity, man. Staying curious and constantly just not thinking that you filled this. It's such an infinite. It has so much infinite space that we can fill it with a lot. You know, and we have a lot of power when it comes to what the fuck we fill it with, I think.
For sure, man. Because our brains are a computer, you know, and that's, I think, woof, if people see it like that, it will be so helpful. But a lot of things that we think are fixed. I'm like this, I'm like that. No, you're not like that. You're like that now, currently. That's your current programming, but your brain is a fucking computer. You can reprogram shit, you know? Like, legit, you can reprogram things. You can change the way you think. You can change the way you feel. You can change. There are certain things, maybe, that are a little bit beyond your control, but those are more like glitches in your system that you will need to fix that glitch for you to be able to effectively reprogram it, right? Like you're not getting enough oxygen in your brain, and then you get dementia or whatever. You cannot reprogram that yourself because that's a damage in the hardware.
Yeah.
But as long as the hardware is okay, you can reprogram things, you know.
Yeah.
And that shit helps a lot as well. Like in developing habits or curiosity or knowledge, you know, like just reprogram maybe the way you see certain things. To me at least it helps a lot as well. And something also that maybe we haven't mentioned, because we said, so to recap, we said curiosity is one thing, interest is another thing, and then also I think necessity, you know, like when you really need something, whether it's the most interesting thing in the world or not, when you really believe you need something, I think that also pushes you to fucking get it and understand whatever you need to understand to make that thing happen.
Yeah.
And for most of us, that's cool, man. For most of us, we grew up thinking it's because we need it. It's not interesting, it's boring, but we go through it and we make it happen because we are told that it's important, you know. So necessity, I think, is also
Yeah. I think it, yeah, and you know, I think there's a lot of things wrong with our education system, but I do think that, I mean, it's more about opportunities, right? So you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot before the race even starts. And having an education does provide you with certain extra opportunities.
yeah, for sure.
So just having you work 4 years of your life, you get a degree, which is just a piece of paper that says that you can do or you can talk about this shit. You have the knowledge, you have the praktijk to talk about this. But sometimes another person that does not have it might be even more qualified than you are, but just because it doesn't says so on their CV,
No.
they're just casted aside immediately before that person is in the room.
Yeah, man.
It's kind of fucked up, right?
And how can we change that though? Like how could we? I think some companies have done something about this. Like some companies have a test that you do, and they test your whatever skill you might need to show for them to hire you. But maybe the paper and the things like that are more efficient for them. You know, people are lazy. Maybe they don't want to test every single person, so they filter shit. But
Yeah,
I
got
definitely
filter.
believe that a certificate is like, it doesn't really show your skill or your, you know. I graduated my bachelor, dude, and I swear to God, I do not feel like I'm ready to go work as an industrial engineer. I will still have to review a lot of shit. What does that say about me getting the paper?
Yeah.
You know, like shouldn't the paper be a symbol of I dominate that shit? Because I don't. You understand, right? Like the paper is more like I've seen this.
Yeah.
I know where to look, which is also good, you know. But that means that a lot of the intelligence or a lot of your intellectual skill and capability is left in your own hands as a student.
Yeah.
The paper is more like you went through this, you saw this at school, you know this is relevant. How good and creative you are at using it, we don't certify this.
Yeah.
You know, it's up to you, and maybe that's why you get better performing students than others, even though they're exposed to the same book, to the same teacher, to the same explanation. Mm-hmm. I think it's because one person is more curious, more okay, how do I use this in a creative way type of mentality. And that's also why you get some people that without going to school, just by working, they're researching, dude. People are working, they're researching, oh, this is the science behind this job. You know, maybe they don't call it that, but that's essentially what they're doing. Oh, this is how this job is done the best. Oh, this is how you fuck up. Let me not do that. Oh, I see that, you know, if I do this and then that, it leads to this result. And people are just studying on their own, dude, but without the
trial and
pressure of
error, right?
yeah, without the pressure of taking a fucking exam that is just gonna test your memory of, you know, or something like that.
Yeah. A couple of days I listened to a podcast by Noah Kagan, and he had they were talking about how they hire people and how to, like, what the fuck do you look for? How do you even hire a good candidate, right? And he says that um, I'm gonna misquote him a lot, but he says something in the lines of like they haven't really the people that they have hired is not people that they haven't even looked at their resumes, I think, or that wasn't a huge part of the process, but it was rather people that showed that they were capable of adding value to this person. So, na to tomane open solicitaties.
Okay.
Right? So, somebody saying like, hey, you know, I coded this. Try it out. Click through it. If you like it, hit me up. And that's how you hire a lot of people. Like if you make videos, if you edit videos, just edit a video for free for somebody and send it in. If they're impressed with your skills, they're gonna hit you up. You know, you're adding value more than just throwing like bait and hopefully it'll end up in front of somebody, right?
Gary Vee style. Like I was studying when I was studying in Curacao. There was this shout out to my bro, Derek. I almost forgot your name, bro.
Oh, then you're not a real bro.
Derek from Aruba. Dude, this guy did like 4 years of civil engineering here in the Netherlands. He couldn't finish. He went to Curacao and tried to finish for 2 years, and he was failing some courses. And this guy got fed up because this guy was really good at the process of drawing houses on the software, you know, and how to make that shit happen. Maybe he wasn't good on how the books were asking him to do certain things, but as an architect or in you know, engineer of I don't know how you call that because it's not architect necessarily. There should be another word for that. But anyways, as an engineer, he was really good in designing shit, you know? And at a certain point, this guy got fed up from school. He did this. He had a bunch of drawings and projects that he worked on his own and during school. Mm-hmm. And he started sending that to some people that had some architecture firms, got hired. They let him do 1 or 2 other courses. And a year or 2 later, he started his own firm in Aruba. And now he works for himself, you know? And he's fucking pro, dude.
The boss.
Yeah, dude. And he didn't graduate, he didn't get the diploma or whatever. And goes to show that sometimes just because you don't get the diploma, doesn't mean you're not good at whatever the fuck you're doing. You're just not good at meeting the or being assessed in the way that they want to assess you. Right? Yeah, right, and I'm inspired by that shit. Like, what the fuck? This guy's fucking cool, dude. Because I'm the opposite. I feel like I got the diploma, but if I have to do a project, I would still have a hard time. Yeah. You know, like I can handle it, right? I feel like now I have the mentality to figure it out and do it good because I've taught myself to do that in the past year. But if I started working as an industrial engineer immediately after I graduated, I would have had a hard time, dude. I would have had a hard time because I didn't have the work ethic. I didn't have the knowing how to apply it and why to apply like that. You know, shit, like I didn't think shit through. I was just more like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The lack of savvy, lack of experience, lack of I've done this, so I can do it now. Like you can pay me for this, cause you know.
But I think it goes back to interest.
It does.
So you weren't interested, perhaps, in going right into that industry app, because even before that, you know, when we went into entrepreneurship, right? So it was like, fuck, maybe that was more exciting during the time than fucking school,
Yeah.
right? So maybe after you were finished, we were also had some time already making music, so we wanted to do something more.
Yeah.
And so it goes back to interest.
Power of interest, and then going back to being an artist and being a rapper, how we learn, like there's a science to rapping. People maybe don't understand, don't realize it, but there's a science to rapping, and how we figured that shit out, dude. Like we never took a course how to rap. We and we for sure did not figure it out just by doing it and doing it wrong, and then just randomly trying. It wasn't random selection. It wasn't evolution of rap. We were like you, especially. I remember were telling me, no, this is how you rap on the beat. I saw the video. This is how you. This is what is a bar. This is this. This is that. And we started checking out the science behind it, and that shit improved our skill. And because of the interest, we were able to learn, and I would say almost master, because we're fucking dope. I'm sorry, but we're fucking dope. We were able to learn and master a skill that nobody taught us, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know any rappers, dude. It was just me and you, bro. Just me and you. You know what I'm saying? I had nobody to look up to, nothing. I mean, yeah, I took some rappers as inspiration, but they weren't explaining to me how to be on beat and how to write a bar, how to write a verse, how to make the song catchy, how to,
Yeah, there's a lot of like technical things to rap, not only like music wise and its arrangement, but also in the writing.
Yeah.
In the writing, there's like, the obviously the punchlines. There is the types of flows. There's like origins to certain flows, like the triplet that one a day is like very popular, and that all that information is literally out there. It's out there and accessible, and as soon as like that interest is sparked, for me it's just like, okay, it opened up the fucking rabbit hole. Just dive in.
There you go.
So it was listening to artists, like a lot of artists, like fuck, this guy is dope, and that leading to other artists and others, and we have the advantage as well that we speak 4 languages. So for us, we could have explored so much more, from Latin American hip hop to hip hop in English from the USA, UK, or even Dutch rappers. I heard a lot from Dutch rappers from you and Renato. So that, I think that.
Opgezwollen, shout out, fucking dope rappers. They don't rap anymore.
Yeah,
that's a pity.
Going back to it, I think you said like master a skill. I don't think we're at the or I think maybe the basics we have mastered, but I don't feel like we're at mastery. Because, fuck, man, every time I just listen to a new song from the Masters, bro.
Yeah, we can do better. Bro.
It's just like, definitely. Damn it. Yes. Yeah. But it's so motivating, right? It's so motivating to see that where we were, even last year, in terms of like shit that we were writing and the songs that we were making and just the writing skills that we have developed over the last couple of years. It's just amazing to see the process. When it was just like freestyling in Renato's living room, to the first couple of poems with no structure, just freestyle, just rhymes.
Back in the day, dude. Back in the day, I used to get nervous recording just on my phone, dude. Now I just record on my phone like it's nothing. I still get nervous sometimes, though, especially if I get a rap on the mic. That's another thing that I need to get used to, and I think that's also a part of it, right? Like building the habit where it just feels natural to you.
Practice.
And I would say that's the difference between us maybe and the people that are masters, because I feel like writing wise, rapping wise as well, we're good, man. I don't feel like it gets much better than that. It's just that when we look at other people, we look at their delivery and it feels and looks flawless, but these people must have practiced the shit out of it, I don't think that Eminem writes his poem once and then he raps it and it comes out perfectly. I think he fucks it up, raps it again, tweaks it, raps it again, comes out, I don't like it, fix it again, and that's what we do, man. There's no difference.
Yeah, that's
we're,
true.
We're just not. It's easy to look perfect when you film the one moment when it sounded perfect, and that's what they do in the studio, by the way. Even Eminem makes mistakes. There's an interview of him saying even he makes mistakes on the mic, and then he needs to do another take and shit like that.
Yeah, it's like we only see the end result.
There you
right?
go.
We only
There
see
you
the
go.
end result, and we don't know like the amount of hours that it's, and we know about the amount of hours that it fucking takes.
Exactly, dude.
And it's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Well, I get stressed sometimes, though. You don't get stressed?
Of course I get stressed, but it's just like so many emotions that keeps you like just like, and you get stressed, but you don't give up. I think another thing is the habit of, like you said, of recording. Getting just comfortable with recording, because it's weird to hear yourself sometimes. I think with the mic, that catches me off guard sometimes. When you're hearing your voice through the headphones, like, okay, fuck, this is how I sound, and then it's just, I don't know, it's a different vibe that you have to like really get used to it, so it's not, doesn't bother you, or it doesn't affect you getting in the right shoes to deliver.
At what moment did you decide that, okay, I'm not doing this for fun anymore? I want to do this like, I want to be a rapper.
I think it was when did I decide? That's a very good question. I think it was Poland. We were talking about it at the lake.
Yeah.
We're like, fuck, chilling, drinking with the guys and shit. I'm like, fuck, man, this year, let's do this. And that's when we started like legit buying the gear, and I think that was it for me, because I had, let's say, I had the money, and I was like, okay, now it's time. If you're gonna put money into this shit instead of other things that maybe you want to do, then you're sacrificing something, right? So there's a cost for it, and I think it was that. When was it? 2018.
Yeah, dude, that was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
And I like what you just said, that if you want to achieve something, you need to realize that it comes at the cost of something else, And I feel like maybe that's something that, in my case, in the past, it would hold me back. Like I had a lot of interests, but not necessarily the will to sacrifice things that I like to see those interests get fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Like we all have, it would be nice if I could do this, or I would like to be like, I would want to learn how to play guitar, but I never actually learned because I just gave up too easily. I mean, my hand is fucked up, but I could have learned to play it the other way around, or I could have learned to put it on my labs and play like that. Fuck, there's this blind guy that plays the blues with the guitar on his lab.
There's this guy that plays
Jeff,
with his
Jeff
feet.
Haley.
With his feet.
So there you go. It's a matter of how much time do you want to put on this, and what are you willing to sacrifice for it. It's not just gonna happen because you're interested in it. You also need to sacrifice other things and put time into that, and maybe money and effort and shit like that.
Yeah.
And that comes difficult. I think that part is really difficult, especially when you have this habit of just, I like watching anime, I like watching movies, I like watching that, and therefore I'm not watching more interviews of J. Cole, I'm not watching more interviews of Eminem, I'm not watching more videos on how to record, I'm not watching more, and every decision you take, you're also deciding not to invest in something. Yeah. Right? And so it's very easy to just not realize that,
Yeah. Indeed, man. Yeah. Worthy sacrifice, or little investments. Let's put it like that, because it's time. Time.
Yeah.
I think it's our biggest asset, and it's up to us where we put that shit to work, right?
How do you find the balance between leisure and investing in your goals, because you cannot just invest in your goals all the time. That's burnout for sure.
Hmm.
So how do you find like you have a balance? Let's answer that question first. Do you feel like you have a balance?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes I think I do. Um, right now, I don't. Let's say music is not my work, right? So it's an activity that I really I'm treating it as if it was, but it's something that I really enjoy doing. Right now, I see this as a sport. Let's say if I was into biking,
Yeah.
this would be my biking. Let's put it like that.
Yeah.
So this is something that I try to do it more and more, and as often as I can, and as soon as inspiration hits,
Yeah.
ride that wave. So music, music was always, hey, let's jam. Oh, jam session from time to time. Now it's just like, fuck, I jam when I can. So it became um, more consistent.
Yeah.
So I think there is some leisure in that it doesn't
For
feel
sure.
like it's always work. I feel the times where I felt more in balance are the times, again, like you, I want to do a lot of shit. I want to learn about a lot of shit. I want to do courses. I want to learn more about music. Right now I'm doing the music production course, and I want to learn to play the piano and the guitar. A lot of shit that I want to do. Like, fuck, but my time is limited,
Yeah,
right?
man.
I got that limited resource. So, yeah, trying the days that I've felt more imbalanced have been the days where I've I've managed to stick to a routine that is healthy, that actually implements all these things
Okay.
that are needed for a balanced life. This is something that I learned in this course by Tai Lopez. So he speaks about what is a good life, and he mentions that a good life is a life that has four main pillars. These are health, wealth, love, and happiness or fulfillment. So if you're at the end of the day, if you're filthy rich, but you're obese, unhealthy, thus have no partner, and thus feel unfulfilled.
Wow, you just said obese people that cannot have partners.
No, but I mean, come on.
Don't be an asshole, buddy.
No, I mean, come on. So if you have, you're just gonna be a miserable rich man.
Yeah.
See what I mean? So finding a way that your life, like what you're doing, it's giving you money, but it doesn't feel like it's work. It's not draining you. That you've incorporated it with habits to stay healthy. He talks about an integrated life. That's what I want to say. So as I'm working, I don't have to wait until 10 at night or 9, 7, whatever, what time you choose to go to the gym.
Yeah.
To finish my day of work and go to the gym. No, in between, if I can take 15 minutes, I'm doing a couple of push-ups. Maybe if I got dumbbells, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I integrate that. By the end of the day, 3 of my breaks add up to a whole workout throughout the day. And if I keep that consistent, I can stay in shape. My dream is not to be maybe a bodybuilder, but I want to be lean. I want to be, I want to
Yeah.
just be fit.
Yeah, dude, and actually, because two things that I find are also worthy of pointing out would be that actually taking those activity intervals between your routine are actually better for you, because if you spend 5 hours straight sitting down, that's actually killing you, dude. Like, that's legit taking years out of your life. But
Killing you 5.
there you go.
And yourself.
Yeah, but if you took in between those 5 hours, you had 15 minutes, several 15 minutes of activity, that's already contributing to your health more than if you were 5 hours straight sitting and then 45 minutes in the gym after those 5 hours. I think the damage from those straight 5 hours sitting without doing nothing is gonna catch on to you when you're older, right? So that's one thing. And then the other thing that you said, but right, I'm not a bodybuilder, right? I don't want to be a bodybuilder. Therefore, exercising in a different way, it's actually good for me. And I think that's maybe something that puts a lot of pressure on people, that you're comparing yourself maybe to someone that you look up to on social media or whatever, but those people are doing that skill at such a high professional level whereas you just want to see it as a hobby, or you just want certain benefits from it, but you don't want everything. And then you think that to achieve what you want, you need to copy the strict routine. Like I used to have that with bodybuilding because I wanted to be a legit bodybuilder, right? Back then. But nowadays, after I said I'm not going to be a professional bodybuilder anymore, I still kept training as if I would, you know, and that caught on to me. I started getting injuries, pain, I wasn't recovering properly, etc. When it was totally unnecessary. Like I could have trained less. I could have just adopted what my metric of progress is.
Yeah.
What my metric of I'm doing it and I'm succeeding at it is.
Yeah.
You know, and that also helps a lot with your psychological well-being, that you're happy with what you're doing, that you're happy with who you are and what you're becoming, and you know, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Otherwise I'll be depressed because I'm skinny now and because I'm not 80 kilos or something like that, whereas no, I'm fit, I'm happy, I'm not buffed and big, but I'm fit and I'm happy, and that's what I want right now, you know.
Yeah, doing what you like, that's, love that, man. This in the course, he mentions it as tap dancing your way to work, or no, tap dance your way out of bed. So aim for like a life where like every day you wake up excited about what the fuck you're gonna do that day, about, you know, that you're, fuck, my life is good. I'm looking forward for my day, right? For what the fuck I'm gonna do today, I don't know, but I love it.
Make it happen.
Alright, you do know and you love it.
Yeah, dude. That's legit how I've been waking up these days. I feel like I'm more busy than before the vacation. I'm on vacation, but I'm busy as fuck. And it's not busy as if when I was working on my thesis that I was just like a computer processing, working, typing, reading. I don't feel like that. I feel like I have just chill moments in between whatever I'm doing, but I'm doing shit.
Yeah.
Throughout the day, I'm doing shit, you know? Maybe I looked at 1 or 2 videos for an hour that contributes to one goal that I have, and then I just spend 15 minutes doing nothing, just thinking about things that I've learned or what I think about life. Or when I make those posts on Instagram, it's not just out of nowhere it comes to my mind. No, I'm just there squeezing the forearm trainer shit and just thinking about something. And like, you know what? Sometimes I feel like I give the impression of being a bigger person, but I'm not really the bigger person. And when I am the bigger person, I feel like that works better. You know, oh yeah, like that time that this happened, or that time that, and I'm just talking to myself in my head, and I'm thinking, and then I post something on Insta, you know, like that. And then I go back to watching a video about how to invest. Yeah. Or, you know, or what type of equipment I need to record shit, and I'm just mixing up my shit, but I'm busy the whole day.
You're doing you, man.
Yeah, dude. There is no specific, you know, oh shit, what happened? What happened?
Buddy, that's okay. That happens to screens sometimes. So they turn off, you know.
The screen.
Whoa, what happened?
The screen just shut down, and I got scared.
You got scared. You got a little bit scared.
I got a little scared. Oh my god. But yeah,
saying about by what I said about the integrated life and working out with it, it's not easy. You know, it's not something that it needs to be built into a habit. You know, and that I think that's building good habits is so fucking hard, because if you don't stick to it for longer than 60 something days,
66 days,
legit, consistently every day doing this, you're not gonna make it into a habit. You're gonna make it into something that you did for a couple of weeks, and that's it, and then you need to start again. You know, you gotta legit push. And I think what helps with that is whatever the fuck that you can do to increase your ratio or level of awareness throughout your days. I think that helps a lot. Whether it's meditation, whether it's having this moment where you're running in the morning and, you know, you're aware, whether it's conscious breathing exercises, you know, like being aware is what stops you or what helps you notice what triggers your bad habits.
Touché, man. Touche. And like for those that don't know, like you can Google it, but it takes 66 days. If you repeat an activity for 66 days in a row, it becomes a habit. Like your brain programs that shit, and it becomes second nature, sort of.
But it does take 18 months of straight practice
Mm.
for it to be a behavior that is just ingrained in you. It's 18
Goddamn.
months.
Okay, so second nature is 18 months. Habit
66
is
days.
66
But you
days.
gotta stick to it. You gotta
Yeah.
stick with it. You're not like 66 and you can take on the
Yeah.
back seat and let it go on autopilot. It's not. It becomes a bit easier, perhaps, but
And there's a science to building habits. This is amazing that we know all these things, but there's a science to building habits. So there's the book called The Power of Habits. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It basically gives a cycle of how you can build habits, and if I can sum it up, it really has to do mostly with um, identifying a trigger, which is a situation or a specific thing that makes you that makes you feel like, okay, something needs to be done. For example, if you want to stop eating chocolate cookies, I'm just gonna copy the example from the guy in the book. If you want to stop eating chocolate cookies, whenever you feel like eating a chocolate cookie, that's a trigger. Oh, okay, I want to eat chocolate cookies, but I'm trying to build a habit of not doing it. So let me be aware of that. Let me do something about it. So the next thing would be to take an action to reach the goal that you want to reach. So instead of eating the cookie, maybe I go outside and I have a coffee with a colleague. And then that distracts me from the craving of eating a cookie because I'm supplementing it with another activity that I also enjoy. So that's another secret, right? Finding something that you enjoy. So instead of eating the cookie, you talk with someone, you like the social interaction, you also like the coffee, there you go, you have a new activity. And then the final step is priming yourself, giving yourself a reward. And this is the secret to building habits. If you're going to remember anything, is give yourself a reward after doing the thing that you're aiming to build as a habit. And then as you do that over time, your brain is going to develop a positive connection with that activity that you're trying to transform into a habit. That's it, people. You can thank me later. Actually, we can look at the habit loop. Look at that.
The habit loop. So here it is. So you have a cue, and a cue is a stimuli from the environment, or a trigger, like you called it. That trigger triggers a routine, which is the activity that JC mentioned.
Do A or B.
And then after doing this activity comes a specific reward. So for example, with the cookie, the reward could be the sugar rush that you get from eating that cookie. So if you want to lose weight and every day you're fucking eating cookies at lunch, right? That's the trigger for this guy in the book, I believe, was a certain time of the day, if I'm not mistaken. I'm gonna give my example with coffee.
Yeah.
So coffee. So this is kind of like how I applied the things from the book. So for me, at school, I was drinking too much coffee. I was having like 5 to 6 maybe a day. You know, those a fuckload of coffee.
Yeah.
Especially during cold months that we had to work at school, like legit be at school the whole fucking day. And because of like trying to develop a bit of awareness, I noticed that when I was drinking most of this coffee at school. So I started paying attention to what was triggering it and being aware of what the reward was with coffee. So I did feel that pump of energy. And then the experiments that I ran was like, okay, what is triggering? I noticed that it was when I was feeling bored. So if I was done with something and I had to wait for my group to finish their stuff so we can discuss, or when I just wasn't feeling productive and I was just spacing out, that was my trigger to go walk to the machine and get some coffee, put some sugar in it, and drink it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the activity, and the reward was the rush that I felt. But then, like, fuck, I like coffee. Coffee is a nice fucking drug. I don't want to not drink coffee, but I can at least I wanted to take baby steps because of I learned from the Kaizen book that you read, and it was just like, okay, I need to acquire a taste for coffee without sugar, and I wanted to see if I was getting the rush from the sugar and I was addicted to sugar, or if it was the coffee. So I kept the habit, the same thing, trigger, go to the machine, have some coffee, but I stopped putting sugar in it.
Okay.
And I realized, fuck, I was still enjoying the rush of the coffee because like I said, I love that drug.
Caffeine problems.
So how I went around it was, back in the day, I was trying to still build the habit of reading, being more efficient with reading, and trying to read at least 1 or 2 books a month. So every time I got the trigger, I had to read 5 pages of a book before I walked to the machine. So the trigger was boredom. I was bored, so I had the time to read. And so then I started, I don't know, it's like I'm a very active reader nowadays, I think, because of during those times. And I drink coffee without sugar, so I acquired a taste to it.
Yeah, you improve your intelligence or knowledge, and you improve your health by taking less sugar. But I'm curious, what was your reward?
The reward
was the coffee after reading the 5 pages.
Yeah, so the coffee
Smart.
and the rush that it gave me was still that reward. So I was linking that with and I still do, actually. I still do. I try to read in the morning, very early morning, and I don't have my first cup of coffee until after I'm done, like, reading and doing the shit that I
do.
So fuck, I hadn't noticed that actually.
There you go. So for the people that don't know the Kaizen thing also, which is also good to know, it has to do with when you want to achieve something, break it down into smaller goals. So if you want to quit smoking, don't go cold turkey. Rather, so instead of trying to stop smoking at all, just try smoking 1 cigarette less per day. If that's difficult, then try smoking but don't finish the cigarette, or take 1 less puff every day from the cigarette, like that. And the reason why that works is because when you have something that you feel like, oh damn, that's gonna be really difficult to achieve, your brain enters this fear mode, and then it makes you wanna flee the problem, not deal with it, But when you have something that is broken down into smaller goals, like almost impossible to not achieve goals, your brain enters I can totally do this, and it kind of craves that, you're feeding your ego a little bit, like, I'm gonna show myself that I can do this. And whenever you achieve something, there's a little dopamine rush in your brain going on. So that's why break shit down into smaller goals. If you wanna, if for example, if Hector wanted to stop putting sugar in the coffee, but maybe he couldn't deal without the sugar at the beginning, then 1 gram less of sugar every week would have done the job, for example. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I used to put 2, and I think I started with 1.
Yeah.
And then less a little bit less. Yeah. Indeed, because I didn't like coffee, just black coffee back in the day. Now that's the only way that you should drink coffee, guys. Come on.
God damn it.
Damn it.
Black coffee. There's a cool song called Black Coffee. People should check. Y'all should check it out. Black coffee. I'm gonna share it on my Instagram right now.
Share it on your
Black
Instagram.
coffee.
Well, guys, there you have it. That was the first episode of the HighSo-Spective podcast. We had fun recording it, but yeah, it's our first time. We forgot the outro, so here it is.
Yeah, and we also want to ask you guys to go to the comments. Let us know what you thought of the podcast. What was great? Did you feel like we added some value? Do you have questions about the books and the topics we talked about? We'd love to chat with you about it. Let us know what we can do better as well. Obviously, it was not perfect, but we're working on it.
Yeah, definitely. Be tune in on this channel for the next episodes coming up in the next few weeks.
About to record it right now.
Exactly. Exactly. Wish us luck. And yeah, check out the foundation on this channel. Subscribe and yeah, see you next time.
One love.